Welcome back. So at this point we have the basket, which we do not have input set up for that just yet. We will do that in an upcoming lecture. And we have the apple tree. Now in an upcoming lecture we want to set up the logic that will allow us to specify a particular camera through which we will view our game. Now before we get to that, we actually want to go ahead and create a camera, add a camera into our world. And for that I will select the camera actor. I will go ahead and zero that out and I will move that back. To around there should be fine, minus 1600 in X. To something like 1, you can bring that all the way down to 1. And then you have this sort of setup, but I don't want that, I want a wider view. So I'll just go ahead and select one of these presets such as HDTV. Go ahead and select that. I will also change this from perspective to orthographic. The ortho width, I will go ahead and change that. I will go ahead and modify the ortho width. I will set that to around 2550. I will change the view here from perspective to that placed camera, the camera actor. Notice that we see this in wireframe now, so I'll just go and select lit. Notice that we also get this grid here, so I'll go to show and I will turn off the grid. Select the basket and reset that, and then I will move that down to, let's say, minus 500 here. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and select the tree and I will move that down, let's say, to 400 in Z. Okay, next I will go back into the outliner here and I will select the sky sphere right here. And if I toggle that on and off, notice that we get this in our scene. So I'll just go ahead and delete the sky sphere. Also note that we have this floor here. And at this point actually I'll go ahead and delete that. What we can do is with the sky atmosphere, also go ahead and select that. And then in the details panel, I will scroll down to the art direction section. And then we have the aerial perspective view distance scale. That basically makes the perspective look thicker. Drag that, scale that all the way down, and you can see that now the tree is a bit clearer. You can play around with some of the other settings if you want. Also in the outliner you may not need the volumetric clouds. Go ahead and delete that, we don't need that for our project. And eject from that. I will go ahead and select my camera, and you can see that in the settings here, this is our camera settings for this camera actor and the camera component. But also notice a couple more things. This camera actor here is just an actor with a scene component, and then we have a camera component attached to that. So it's really the component that contains the settings that we need for this functionality. For example, under the camera section we have this camera mesh, so you can actually go ahead and change that mesh if you want to do that for some reason. You can also turn that to be hidden on and off, and so forth. But keep this in mind in upcoming lectures. The camera actor is an actor that contains this camera component. A couple more things before we move on here. I'll go ahead and I will, with that camera actor selected, you can see if I click on something else such as the paddle down here, the basket, we don't see that preview anymore. I might want to go and modify the position of that by clicking and dragging on the handles, but then I still want to have this preview. Well, what I can do is I can pin this preview, and now I can go ahead and select my paddle. I can move it up and down where I want, and I will move that down to minus 500 in Z. Okay, so now I can unpin that if I want. Again, with the camera selected, under the autoplay activation, you can see we have the section here, specify which player controller, if any, should automatically use this camera when the controller is active. So I'll go down and I will select that for player 0. And with this we can go ahead and play in the selected viewport, and now we get to this sort of thing. Now this may not be what you want. This kind of is a flushed out kind of color here. Undock that from the sidebar. Dock the details panel down here, and with the sky atmosphere selected, I will scroll down to the sky luminance factor, which is down Under art direction, we have the sky luminance factor, and I can change that to something like this blue color. Some color that you like, such as this one right here, for example. I will hover in here and right click, and I will copy that, and then I will stop. Then with the sky atmosphere selected, under art direction, I will right click and I will paste. And if we go ahead and play now, then we get this sort of color and this sort of setup. Okay, so we don't have the ability to move that basket to the left and to the right yet, but you can see that if one of those balls may fall onto the paddle, and you can see we at least have some physics interaction. Okay, so that is going to wrap up this basic setup of our camera and the sort of lighting that you may want in your scene. Again, we can always go ahead and modify that later on. This is just programmer art for right now.